Liam had always been the kind of person who noticed things others overlooked. He liked finding small treasures in the most unexpected places. Whether it was a stack of old books at a garage sale or a rusted bicycle leaning against a fence, one sunny afternoon while driving through the outskirts of town, he spotted something that immediately caught his attention. At first it seemed like just a pile of rust and metal, abandoned and forgotten, but there was something about it that made him slow down. It was a shipping container, old and weathered, sitting at the back of a local salvage yard. The paint had long faded, replaced by layers of rust, and the metal was dented in several places. It looked like it had been through storms, long journeys, and years of neglect. Most people driving by would have kept going, not giving it a second thought. But Liam felt a spark of curiosity. He parked his car and walked closer, kicking at the dirt and gravel with a mix of excitement and caution. The container had a heavy lock on the door, one that seemed almost too strong for a container in such a sorry state. Liam crouched down to inspect it. The lock was rusted in spots, but it clearly had been built to last. He ran his fingers along the metal, feeling the rough texture of rust and peeling paint. Small scratches and marks covered the surface, some forming strange patterns, others just the result of wear and tear. He could almost imagine the stories the container might tell if it could speak. A man, probably in his late 50s, came around from behind the yard office, noticing Liam's interest. He had a cautious look on his face, like he was used to people coming by and asking questions, but not sticking around long enough to actually buy anything. Liam waved and walked toward him, trying to hide the excitement in his voice. He asked about the container, and the man's eyes flickered over it with a mixture of annoyance and relief. "You looking to buy it?" the man asked. "It's not much. Been sitting here for years," Liam nodded. "Yeah, how much?" The man scratched his head, then named a number that made Liam's eyebrows lift. $600. For a shipping container, even a rusty one, that was almost unbelievable. Liam hesitated for a moment, thinking about the cost of transporting it, the effort it would take to clean it, and the work he might need to do to make it useful. Still, something inside him told him it was worth the risk. "I'll take it," Liam said, surprising even himself. The man raised an eyebrow, probably not expecting him to say yes so quickly, and gave a small, satisfied nod. They went through the simple paperwork, a few signatures here and there, and soon Liam had the keys to the container in his hand. He felt a strange mix of pride and excitement, the kind that comes from knowing you might be on the verge of discovering something unique. Arranging for a tow truck took some time, but by late afternoon the container was sitting in Liam's backyard. It looked even more imposing up close. The yard had plenty of space, but the container's sheer size made it feel like a small metal fortress. Liam circled it, imagining all the possibilities. A workshop, storage for tools, a small creative space. He could see himself spending hours inside, tinkering and organizing. But there was also a part of him that couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to this container than met the eye. The lock, heavy and stubborn, seemed almost challenging him. Liam got a crowbar from the garage and started working on it. It took patience and effort, but finally, with a loud creak and the scraping sound of metal against metal, the doors swung open. The smell that hit him first was strong and musty, a mix of rust, dust, and dampness that had built up over years of being closed off. He coughed slightly and waved his hand in front of his face, letting the sunlight in as he peered inside. The interior was dark, just a long stretch of metal walls, floor, and ceiling. But there was more than just emptiness. Liam's eyes caught glimpses of shapes in the far corners, shadows that seemed almost like they were hiding something. There were stains on the floor and small piles of debris, remnants of items left behind. A few wooden crates were stacked unevenly, and he noticed a strange tarpaulin covering what looked like boxes of varying sizes. Liam felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. He had no idea what he might find, but the possibilities ran wild in his mind. He started carefully moving the crates and boxes one by one, brushing off the thick layer of dust and dirt. Each item seemed ordinary at first, old tools, rusted metal parts, broken furniture. But there was something about the way they were packed that made Liam curious. Someone had clearly taken time to organize these items, to hide them perhaps. Beneath a pile of rags and cardboard, he discovered a small wooden box, sturdy and slightly worn at the edges. It had an unusual lock, one that seemed delicate but intricate. Liam ran his fingers over it, marveling at the craftsmanship. There was no name, no label, nothing to indicate what might be inside. Next, he noticed a journal lying on top of a crate. The leather cover was cracked and soft with age, and the pages inside were yellowed but intact. He opened it carefully, trying not to tear the fragile paper. The handwriting was neat, almost meticulous, and the entries described shipments of items, dates, and destinations. Liam's heart began to race as he realized this journal might be a key to understanding the container's history. It hinted at valuable items being stored inside, though he wasn't sure if it was just the imagination of the writer or something real. For hours, Liam explored every inch of the container. He lifted tarps, peeked behind crates, and even pried open some small hidden compartments he discovered along the walls. Nothing seemed immediately dangerous, but the air was thick with mystery. He found old labels, stamps, and markings on crates that suggested these. The next morning, Liam returned to the container carrying his flashlight, gloves, and the leather-bound journal he had found the day before. The excitement of discovery made it impossible for him to wait. He wanted to explore every corner, to understand what this container really held. The air smelled faintly of rust and dust, and as he stepped inside, he noticed the shadows in the corners seemed deeper, almost like they were hiding something. He shined his flashlight along the walls, the beam catching the outlines of crates and boxes that he hadn't fully explored the day before. He started with the crates near the back, careful not to disturb anything too quickly. Lifting the first one, he found it filled with small, individually wrapped items. The wrapping paper was old and brittle, yellowed with age, but underneath he could make out the shapes of delicate objects. He handled them carefully, unwrapping one to reveal a small, intricate sculpture made of metal. Its craftsmanship was remarkable, detailed and precise, as though someone had spent hours perfecting it. Liam's heart raced. It was clear that these weren't ordinary items thrown into storage. Each piece had a purpose, a story, and possibly great value. Moving to the next crate, Liam found old glass bottles sealed with corks. The liquid inside had darkened over time, and labels, faded almost to the point of being unreadable, suggested they were from another era. He made a mental note to research them later. Perhaps they were rare old perfumes, or maybe something else entirely. The thought that he could be holding pieces of history in his hands made him feel a strange sense of responsibility. These items had survived decades in secrecy, and now it was up to him to uncover their story. As he continued, Liam noticed a corner that looked unusually tidy, almost as if someone had arranged the items there intentionally. Beneath a dusty tarp, he discovered a series of small wooden boxes. They were stacked neatly, each locked with tiny latches. One of the boxes caught his eye because it had a delicate pattern carved into the wood, intricate swirls and symbols that seemed almost ceremonial. Liam carefully unlatched it, revealing a collection of coins, some shiny and others darkened with age. He picked up one, holding it to the light, noticing tiny inscriptions and designs he had never seen before. It was clear that these coins were not ordinary currency. They were collectibles, possibly rare and valuable. He sat down on an old crate, spreading out the coins in front of him, trying to make sense of the collection. The journal he had found earlier lay open beside him, and as he read through the entries, he noticed references to similar coins. The writer had meticulously documented shipments, noting the contents and their value. Liam felt a thrill run through him. It was as though the journal was guiding him, giving him clues to understand the significance of each discovery. The thought that someone had taken such care in cataloging these items made him respect the original owner even more. Whoever they were, they had gone to great lengths to protect and hide these treasures. Hours passed as Liam continued his exploration. He found more crates containing small chests, each carefully locked and wrapped. Some held jewelry, delicate pieces with gemstones that shimmered in the light. Others contained old letters and documents, some tied with faded ribbons. Liam handled each item with care, knowing that these were fragile relics of the past. He wondered about the people who had owned them, the lives they had led, and why these items had ended up hidden in this container. The mystery deepened with every discovery, and his excitement grew with each new find. Near the back of the container, Liam noticed a trapdoor in the floor, hidden beneath a thin layer of dust and debris. He crouched down and carefully cleared the area, brushing away the dirt until the edges of the door were visible. The door was small but sturdy, with a simple latch that seemed almost too easy to open compared to the heavy lock on the main doors. Liam's curiosity surged. He knew that whatever was beneath this trapdoor could hold the key to the container's deeper secrets. With a deep breath, he lifted the latch and slowly raised the door. Beneath the trapdoor was a narrow space, just tall enough to kneel and crawl. The air was cooler here, musty but not unpleasant, carrying the scent of old wood and paper. Liam lowered himself carefully, shining his flashlight into the darkness. Inside, he found a series of boxes, smaller than the ones above, but packed with even more intriguing items. One box contained old photographs, black and white, depicting people in strange formal clothing and scenes from decades ago. Another box held letters, their edges frayed and ink faded, but the words were still legible. They told stories of travel, trade, and secrets passed down from one person to another. As Liam read through one of the letters, he realized that the container had been used as more than just a storage space. It had been a safe place, a hidden archive for items of great importance. The letter mentioned shipments, specific dates and destinations, some familiar and others obscure. It spoke of challenges in keeping these items safe, and the writer's concern about them falling into the wrong hands. Liam felt a shiver run through him. He was holding pieces of a hidden history that had been carefully preserved, unknown to the world for decades. He spent the rest of the afternoon exploring every corner of the hidden compartment, documenting each item and cross-referencing it with the journal entries. The process was painstaking, but Liam found it exhilarating. Each discovery felt like a piece of a larger puzzle, slowly revealing the story of the container and its mysterious owner. He realized that this was not just a collection of forgotten objects. It was a carefully curated treasure trove, each item chosen and preserved with purpose. As evening approached, Liam took a step back and surveyed the container. He had uncovered so much already, yet he felt certain that there were more secrets waiting to be revealed. The journal, the letters, the photographs, and the items themselves hinted at a story that stretched beyond his imagination. He wondered about the person who had hidden all of this, their life, their fears, and their motivations. The thought that someone had trusted this container to safeguard their treasures, and now he was the one to discover them, filled him with a mix of awe and responsibility. The next morning, Liam returned to the container with renewed energy. The sunlight hit the rusted metal walls, giving them a faint glow, and the air was crisp with the promise of discovery. He had spent the night thinking about everything he had uncovered so far, the coins, the letters, the photographs, and the intricate wooden boxes. Each item seemed more significant than the last, and he was eager to continue piecing together the story of this mysterious container. He brought additional supplies with him: gloves, a flashlight, a small crowbar, and a notebook to record his observations. As he stepped inside, the familiar musty smell of the container greeted him, along with the faint scent of old paper and wood. He paused for a moment, letting his eyes adjust to the dim light, and then began where he had left off. The hidden compartment under the floorboards called to him. He knelt and carefully lifted the trapdoor, shining his flashlight into the narrow space below. The boxes and crates that had intrigued him before were still there, but now he noticed something he hadn't seen yesterday: a small chest tucked behind one of the larger boxes. It was smaller than the others, made of dark wood with ornate carvings that seemed almost symbolic. Liam's heart raced. This chest looked important. He moved the boxes aside and examined the chest. The latch was delicate but secure, and it required a gentle touch to open. Liam carefully worked the latch, listening to the creak of the metal. When it finally gave way, he lifted the lid to reveal a collection of gemstones. They varied in color and size, some clear like crystal, others deep blue or rich red. The light from his flashlight caught the facets of the stones, making them sparkle in the dim space. Liam was amazed. He had expected old tools and dusty crates, but these gemstones suggested something far more valuable had been hidden here. He carefully placed the gemstones on a cloth he had brought and studied them. Each one appeared to have been cut and polished with skill. Liam wondered about their origins and how they had ended up in this container. The journal he had found the day before had mentioned valuable shipments, and now he realized it might have been describing items like these. He flipped through the journal again, reading the entries with a new perspective. One entry described a shipment of precious stones and coins sent to a secret location for safekeeping. Liam's excitement grew. He was beginning to see a connection between the journal and the items in the container. Next, Liam turned his attention to the letters and photographs he had found. He carefully unrolled a bundle of letters tied with a faded ribbon. The handwriting was neat, almost meticulous, and the ink had not faded completely despite the years. The letters spoke of secret deals, travel to distant cities, and the importance of keeping certain items safe. Liam realized that the container had been more than a storage space. It had been a secure place for someone to hide treasures and important documents. He felt a sense of awe, knowing he was uncovering a carefully preserved part of history. The photographs were equally intriguing. Black and white images showed people dressed in formal clothing, some in group portraits and others in candid moments. The backgrounds hinted at different countries and eras, with architectural styles and landscapes that seemed unfamiliar. Liam studied the faces, wondering about the lives these people had led, and their connection to the items in the container. He imagined their journeys, the risks they might have taken to protect these treasures, and the trust they had placed in this hidden space. As Liam continued to explore, he found more crates and boxes, each filled with unique items. One box contained old coins, some with markings that suggested they were rare and collectible. Another held small sculptures, finely crafted and delicate. Liam handled each piece with care, understanding that these were not just objects but stories frozen in time. The journal entries helped him make sense of the items, providing context and clues about their origins and significance. It felt like a puzzle, each discovery fitting into a larger picture that was slowly revealing itself. He spent hours cataloging everything, making notes in his notebook, and sketching the more intricate items. Liam realized that patience was key. Rushing through the container could lead to missed details or damaged treasures. He worked methodically, taking breaks to rest and reflect on what he had found. The process was exhausting but deeply satisfying. Each discovery added to the mystery and excitement, and Liam felt a growing connection to the person who had hidden these items. There was a sense of respect and admiration for the care and foresight that had gone into preserving them. Around midday, Liam discovered something that made him pause. A small metal box hidden behind a larger crate had no markings or labels. It was simple but sturdy, with a latch that was rusted and difficult to open. He carefully worked the latch, prying it slowly until it gave way. Inside, he found a collection of documents, some folded neatly, others rolled and tied with string. The documents appeared to be official papers, possibly legal or financial records. Liam realized that these might provide insight into the identity of the person who had hidden the treasures and the purpose of the container. The thought of uncovering a real-life story behind these items sent a thrill through him. As he examined the documents, Liam noticed a pattern. Many of the papers referenced specific locations, dates, and transactions. Some mentioned shipments to other countries, while others detailed storage arrangements and security measures. It was clear that the container had been part of a larger network, a secret system for safeguarding valuable items. Liam felt a sense of responsibility. He was now the custodian of these secrets, and he knew he had to handle everything carefully. The container was no longer just a collection of old crates and boxes. It was a window into a hidden world, a testament to human ingenuity and caution. By late afternoon, Liam returned to the container early in the morning, carrying more tools and supplies. The discoveries of the past few days had left him both excited and determined. He felt a growing sense of responsibility. The items in the container were not just valuable, they were pieces of history that had been carefully preserved. Today he intended to examine the remaining boxes and crates, hoping to uncover the final parts of the story. As he stepped inside, the cool, musty air greeted him, carrying the familiar scent of rust and old paper. He shined his flashlight around, making sure to note the positions of the crates he had already explored. The remaining crates were stacked toward the far end of the container, some leaning slightly as if they had been untouched for decades. Liam carefully approached, aware that some of the items might be fragile or delicate. The first crate he opened contained more letters and documents, tied together with ribbon or string. The writing was neat and precise, and as he read, he realized that some of these papers were business records detailing HOA payments and transactions from years ago. Some letters spoke of challenges in keeping the items safe, with warnings about potential threats or theft. Liam felt a shiver run through him. The container had been a secure hiding place, and the person who had stored these items had gone to great lengths to protect them. He wondered about the risks they had faced and the careful planning that had gone into creating this hidden space. Next, he opened a small chest tucked into the corner. The chest was intricately carved, with delicate patterns that suggested it had been handcrafted. Inside, he found a collection of small ornate objects, Some looked like decorative pieces, while others seemed to have practical purposes. Each item was carefully wrapped in cloth or paper, and Liam handled them with extreme care. He realized that these were not ordinary trinkets. They were likely rare, valuable, or meaningful to the person who had hidden them. The craftsmanship and attention to detail made him appreciate the history even more. One box contained photographs, some black and white, others slightly faded with color. Liam carefully examined them, noting the clothing, architecture, and landscapes depicted. The images seemed to tell a story of travel, trade, and perhaps family connections. He could imagine the people in the photos, their lives and journeys, and the importance of the container as a safe place for their belongings. The photographs added a personal touch to the story, making the history feel alive and tangible. As Liam moved through the crates, he discovered a small wooden box that had been hidden behind larger ones. The latch was delicate but sturdy, and he carefully opened it to reveal a set of maps. The maps were old, with faded ink and markings that suggested specific locations and routes. Some places were labeled, others marked with symbols that Liam could only guess at. He studied them carefully, realizing that they might have been used to plan the movements of valuable items or to keep track of hidden caches. The maps added a layer of mystery, suggesting a network of secrets that extended beyond the container itself. Beneath the maps, Liam found a set of letters tied together with a ribbon. The letters were addressed to various people, some with detailed instructions about the items in the container. Others contained personal reflections, expressing concern for the safety of the treasures and the importance of keeping them hidden. Liam read each one carefully, feeling a connection to the writer. The letters conveyed a sense of urgency and responsibility, and he realized that he was now part of that legacy, entrusted with the care and preservation of these items. He then noticed a small trapdoor in the floorboards, partially hidden by debris. Liam knelt and cleared the area, revealing the edges of the door. The latch was old but functional, and he carefully lifted it. Inside, he found a narrow space containing more boxes and small chests. Each item was wrapped and labeled, suggesting that the person who had hidden them had been meticulous in documenting their contents. Liam spent hours exploring this space, carefully unwrapping items and noting their details. He found more coins, gemstones, and delicate objects, each with its own story and significance. One particularly intriguing find was a chest containing a collection of jewelry. Some pieces were simple but elegant, while others were elaborate and adorned with gemstones. Liam handled each piece carefully, appreciating the artistry and craftsmanship. He realized that these items were not just valuable in a material sense. They represented the care and attention of the person who had preserved them. Each piece was a reminder of the past, a connection to a world that had been hidden away for decades. As the day wore on, Liam discovered a set of documents that appeared to be legal papers or contracts. They detailed ownership, transactions, and agreements related to the items in the container. Some papers were old and fragile, but the writing was legible, providing insights into the history of the treasures. Liam realized that the container had been more than just a storage space. It had been a secure repository for items of significant value, both material and historical. The documents added depth to the story, revealing the complexity and care involved. In the following morning, Liam returned to the container, determined to explore the final pieces of the puzzle. Over the past days, he had uncovered a treasure trove of items: coins, gemstones, letters, photographs, maps, and delicate objects, each telling a part of the story. Today, he hoped to put everything together, to understand the history and significance of the container and the person who had hidden these items. He started by revisiting the crates that had contained the gemstones and jewelry. Liam carefully examined each piece once more, noting details he might have missed. The gemstones sparkled under his flashlight, their colors vivid against the worn cloths they were wrapped in. The jewelry displayed remarkable craftsmanship, intricate designs, and precious stones that were likely rare. Liam couldn't help but feel a sense of awe. These items were not only valuable, but also represented skill, care, and attention to detail from another time. He wondered about the hands that had created them, the lives of the people who had owned them, and the journey these treasures had taken to reach the container. Next, he returned to the letters and documents, spreading them out carefully on the crate tops. Reading through them, he began to piece together a timeline. The writing spoke of shipments, dates, and locations, and occasionally hinted at dangers and the need for secrecy. Some letters contained personal reflections, showing concern for the safety of the treasures and the importance of protecting them from falling into the wrong hands. Liam felt a connection to the writer, sensing their careful planning, foresight, and determination. He realized that the container had not been used haphazardly. It had been a secure hiding place for carefully chosen treasures, preserved with great care. He then examined the photographs, taking time to study each face, scene, and location. The black and white images showed people in formal clothing, while the slightly faded color photographs depicted landscapes and architecture that were unfamiliar but beautiful. Liam imagined the stories behind the images, the journeys these people had taken, the decisions they had made, and the trust they had placed in the container to safeguard their belongings. The photographs added a human element to the story, connecting Liam to lives that had existed decades before him. After that, he turned his attention to the maps and the smaller hidden compartments. The maps, with their faded ink and markings, suggested a network of secret locations and routes, possibly used to move valuable items or keep track of hidden caches. Liam studied them carefully, tracing the lines and symbols with his finger, trying to imagine the journeys that had been taken. He realized that the person who had hidden these items was not only meticulous but also strategic, thinking ahead and planning for contingencies. It was a remarkable insight into a life dedicated to protecting treasures and preserving history. As he explored the last few crates, Liam uncovered more documents that appeared to be legal papers or contracts. They detailed ownership, transactions, and agreements related to the items in the container. Some were fragile, with edges fraying and ink fading, yet they provided valuable information. Liam carefully cataloged each document, noting names, dates, and locations. It became clear that the container had been part of a larger system, a secret network of safekeeping, and that the person who had created it had taken extraordinary measures to ensure its security. By mid-afternoon, Liam had gathered all the items in one area of the container, arranging them neatly for review. He took a step back, surveying the scene. The container, once rusted and forgotten, had been transformed into a living archive, a repository of history, mystery, and human ingenuity. Each item represented a story, a piece of a larger puzzle that he was now privileged to uncover. Liam felt a profound sense of accomplishment and responsibility. He had discovered something remarkable, and he understood the importance of preserving it carefully. Liam decided to contact experts to authenticate and assess the value of some of the more significant items. He took detailed notes, photographs, and sketches documenting everything he had found. The gemstones, coins, and jewelry were likely rare and valuable, while the letters, photographs, and documents held historical significance. Liam wanted to ensure that the treasures were recognized and preserved properly, not just for their monetary worth, but for the stories and history they carried. As the evening approached, Liam reflected on the journey he had undertaken. What had started as a simple purchase of a rusted container for $600 had become a remarkable adventure into history and mystery. He thought about the person who had hidden these items, their foresight, and the care they had taken to protect their treasures. He felt a deep connection to the past, a sense of continuity, and the satisfaction of uncovering something that had been hidden for decades. Walking back to his house, Liam considered what he had learned and what the discoveries meant for him. The container had not only revealed hidden treasures but also taught him about patience, curiosity, and the importance of paying attention to the world around him. Each item had a story, and by uncovering them, he had become part of that story. The experience had changed him, giving him a new appreciation for history, human effort, and the unexpected possibilities that life could hold. That day, Liam carefully reviewed his notes and photographs. He made plans for the following days, contacting historians, collectors, and experts to learn more about the items. He knew that the process of understanding and preserving the treasures was just beginning. The container had given him a glimpse into a hidden world, and now it was his responsibility to ensure that the stories and history it contained were respected and shared appropriately. Over the next few weeks, experts confirmed the authenticity and significance of many of the items. Some were rare collectibles, while others held historical importance, worthy of display in museums or archives. Liam was amazed by the recognition and the attention the container and its contents received. People were fascinated by the story of the rusted container, the hidden treasures, and the careful preservation by someone long ago. Liam felt proud and grateful that he had been the one to uncover this secret, to bring it to light for others to appreciate. Reflecting on the entire experience, Liam realized that the value of the container was not just in the items it held, but in the stories and connections it represented. The gemstones, coins, jewelry, letters, photographs, maps, and documents were more than objects. They were pieces of a narrative that spanned decades, connecting people, places, and events. Liam felt honored to have played a role in preserving this history, and he understood that the container's true treasure was the story it carried. The rusted shipping container, bought for a mere $600, had become a symbol of hidden potential and unexpected discovery. Liam knew that he would never look at ordinary objects the same way again. The experience taught him that sometimes the most remarkable treasures are hidden in plain sight, waiting for someone curious enough to uncover them. As he looked at the container one last time, he felt a deep sense of satisfaction and wonder. The journey had been incredible, and the container had revealed a secret that would be remembered and cherished for years to come, preserving these treasures. By late afternoon, Liam had uncovered nearly everything in the container. He took a step back, surveying the space and the items he had explored. The container, once a rusted and forgotten object, had transformed into a treasure trove of history, mystery, and human connection. Liam felt a deep sense of satisfaction and awe. He had uncovered a story that had been hidden for decades, a story of careful preservation, risk, and dedication. As he prepared to leave for the day, Liam carefully organized the items he had explored, making sure everything was secure and protected. He made detailed notes in his notebook, sketching intricate items and recording observations. The process was slow and meticulous, but he understood the importance of preserving the integrity of the container and its contents. He felt a growing sense of responsibility, knowing that he was now the caretaker of these hidden treasures. Walking back to his house, Liam reflected on the discoveries of the day. He thought about the person who had hidden the items, the care and foresight they had demonstrated, and the risks they had taken to protect these treasures. He felt a connection to the past, a sense of continuity and shared purpose. The container was no longer just a rusted object in his backyard. It was a bridge to history, a testament to human ingenuity and determination. That evening, Liam began researching some of the more intriguing items. He looked up gemstones, coin markings, and historical references from the documents. The more he learned, the more he understood the significance of the container's contents. Some items were rare and valuable, while others held historical or personal importance. Liam felt a growing sense of excitement and anticipation, eager to continue uncovering the secrets of the container. By the time he went to bed, Liam's mind was full of possibilities. The container had revealed so much, yet he knew that more discoveries awaited. He felt a sense of gratitude for the chance to explore this hidden world and to connect with the stories of the past. The journey had been challenging and exhausting, but deeply rewarding. The container had become a source of wonder, mystery, and inspiration, and Liam knew that the most remarkable discoveries were still to come. Had uncovered nearly everything in the container, but there were still a few crates left untouched. He decided to leave them for the next day, wanting to preserve his energy and focus. The discoveries he had made so far were overwhelming, and he needed time to process everything. As he stepped outside, the sunlight felt warm on his face, a contrast to the cool, musty air inside the container. He took a deep breath, feeling a mix of satisfaction and anticipation. The container had already revealed so much, yet he knew that more secrets were waiting for him. Walking back to his house, Liam reflected on the day's discoveries. The gemstones, coins, letters, photographs, and documents were more than just objects. They were pieces of a story, each with its own significance and history. He thought about the person who had hidden them, imagining their life, their fears, and their careful planning. Liam felt honored to be part of this story, to uncover a hidden legacy that had been preserved for decades. The excitement was hard to contain, and he couldn't wait to return the next day to continue exploring. That evening, Liam spent hours researching some of the items he had found. He looked up coin markings, gemstone types, and historical references from the documents. The more he learned, the more he realized the significance of the container's contents. Some of the coins were indeed rare, while the gemstones were of high quality and possibly valuable. The documents hinted at trade routes and secret networks that had existed decades ago. Liam felt like he was piecing together a hidden history, one that had been carefully preserved and forgotten until now. As night fell, Liam prepared for another day of discovery. He organized his tools, cleaned the area around the container, and made detailed notes of what he had found and what still needed to be explored. The anticipation of uncovering more secrets kept him awake, his mind buzzing with possibilities. He knew that each crate, each box, and each hidden compartment could hold something remarkable, something that would deepen his understanding of the container's story. By the time he finally went to bed, Liam's mind was full of excitement and curiosity. The container, rusted and forgotten by the world, had become a treasure trove of history and mystery. He felt connected to the past, to the people who had hidden these items, and to the stories that had been preserved within the metal walls. The journey of discovery was just beginning, and Liam knew that the next day would bring even more revelations. The container had revealed its first layer of secrets, but he could sense that the most astonishing discoveries were still waiting for him. Liam decided to take a break. Leaning against the side of the container as he let his mind wander, he thought about the journey that had brought him here, the random chance of spotting the rusted container at the salvage yard, and the decision to buy it for just $600. It was almost unbelievable that such a simple act had led to this moment. He felt a deep sense of gratitude for his curiosity, for his willingness to explore, and for the opportunity to uncover something truly remarkable. Before leaving for the day, Liam carefully covered the hidden compartment and tidied the area inside the container. He made notes about what he had found, sketches of the more intricate items and lists of boxes that still needed to be opened. The sense of anticipation was almost overwhelming. He knew that the next day would bring more discoveries, more pieces of the story waiting to be uncovered. As he walked back to his house, Liam's mind was filled with questions. Who had hidden these treasures? Why had they chosen this container? What other secrets might still be waiting for him? He felt a mixture of excitement and reverence, understanding that he was handling objects that had survived decades in secrecy. The experience was changing him, making him see the value in things that others might consider ordinary or worthless. That night, Liam couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about the container, the coins, the letters, and the photographs. He imagined the stories behind each item, the hands that had crafted them, and the journeys they had taken. The container had become more than a collection of objects. It was a window into the past, a bridge to a hidden world that he was now a part of. He realized that this was not just about discovering treasures. It was about uncovering history, understanding the people who had come before, and preserving their stories. By the next morning, Liam was ready to return to the container, eager to continue his exploration. The excitement had grown overnight, fueled by the discoveries he had already made and the promise of more secrets waiting to be revealed. The container, rusted and forgotten by the world, had become a source of endless fascination and wonder. Liam knew that he was just at the beginning of an incredible journey, one that would change his life and connect him to a story that had been hidden for decades. Items had traveled long distances, perhaps even internationally. The more he uncovered, the more he felt that this was not just random junk. Someone had deliberately chosen to keep these things hidden, and now, by chance, Liam had become the person to discover them. As evening approached, Liam took a step back and looked at the container. It was still dark inside, shadows creeping along the corners, but now it felt alive with stories and secrets. He knew he had barely scratched